You can download the book all on from the website, from the tribal website.
Okay. Madam.
Inga.
Representative McCoy, and then Representative McCoy.
Chair,
I just,
Oh,
I just wanted to say Mado for giving these out.
hold on.
But can you come see me later? Because I tried this little QR code and it said this app isn't available for your device because it was made from an older version of Android.
Yeah, so that is part of the child care grant that
Okay.
we're helping child care with the update of our own app and media player.
Okay.
And so those will probably be coming pretty soon, but the other QR code goes to our website.
Okay, perfect.
You got
Mado.
it.
Let's see,
Chair.
I seen Representative Fixico, Representative Sampson, and then Representative Cootie. Representative Fixico.
Jeremy, is there plenty of books? I was looking for the Head Start, the child care, all of them children having a book. Could we give them all one?
Yeah, so that's our plan. That's our the big plan that we have for those books. We had to partner with the with TLC and the Department of Ed, and part of our partnership was to find a local library. And so what we did, we're partnering with Child Care and Head Start to give those kids their own copies of those books. And then we're going to put a copy of those books in every library that's on the res. So school library, public library. So that's the plan.
I'd like to advocate and help you. If you could give me some too, I'll take them out to some of the people. And I know they'll love it. I'm just going to share and advocate for the program, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you got them.
Okay?
And then I think I miscounted this morning when I came in. I tried to give every council rep a book, and then I noticed that we brought more chairs out and tables. And so if you didn't get a book, let me know, and I'll make sure that you as a rep get a book, because we put a acknowledgement page in there for y'all, as well as the chiefs and executive.
Representative Sampson, then Representative Cootie.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, tell you that I didn't get any books.
My bad.
But also I want to ask another question. Since you're so small in number and stature, is there any way that you can get volunteers to assist you at this time as well?
Yeah, we can. We can. Just growing up in my culture, though, and our culture, I would really like to be able to pay people that help. I mean, elders give it their time, and that's part of the reason we want to be selective. And not selective might be the wrong word. We want to be considerate of everyone's time, and so we do our best to reimburse people for their time. And if people wanted to come and help and just come hang out with it, we try to be an elder haven as well, because when people come out and they visit with us, they know that I'm a second language learner. I'm not fluent at all, but I try to learn, and even Miss Nancy schooled me this morning on some stuff, and you know, I'm learning, and that's part of it. I've got to make mistakes to be able to learn how to speak the language, and I think all of us second language learners can understand that. And so, yes, if people want to come out and hang out with us, that's fine. We encourage it, especially if they're speakers, because we want to give them a place where they can come and speak, and we'll learn as well as they have someone to talk to.
That's great. I'm now an elder, so I know a little bit. So thank you so much for all that you do. Madam.
Yeah, Mado.
Representative Cootie. And then Representative
Okay.
Borba.
On this little booklets, I was looking at it, and I don't know how they start to teach those people that you have come in and you know, teach the children. One of the things that I always thought about was, if you're going to teach the language, you know, the gentleman I was talking to in Florida, he taught the children how to speak and everything. He said the kids, when they were in school, they did well, but when they went home, if the parents just speak it, they kind of forget how to say whatever they learned. So it was kind of a hard situation for them to just keep going and repeating the same thing over. But I remember when I started school, what we had to learn was like single words, like run, jump, whatever, Dick, Jane, whatever. And then after that, then you kind of start putting it into sentences after you learn the words. So you can't just go in and say it this way because this is what it says. The sentence is too long. So that would be the way I would teach them the word first and then put it together. And talking to a young lady, she learned to speak the language and everything, but when she was talking, she didn't pronounce her words fully. She just kind of cut it off, you know, like. So our language going, by the time maybe everybody learns how to speak again, the language going to be a little bit different because they're not, you know, really fluent in speaking the way it was meant to be, you know. So, but I mean, that's what I see is if you're going to teach anybody, you're going to have to teach them the word, let them learn the words, and you know, and start putting it into sentences and everything. So I may be wrong, but I think that's the way it should be.
I agree, and ideally, I think we want to even catch them earlier than that. So when they're them babies, when you
Yeah.
can say, no, just, you know, you're starting to speak to them and they don't even know the language, a language yet. You know, they're still learning just life.
I was reading in Creek's newsletter, and this gentleman was saying that when he got off work, got home, the minute he stepped into his house, they didn't speak English. Everything was Indian. So that way, his children could speak it and everything. So he said, we do not speak. If you're going to teach your children, that's what you got to do, is to teach them in home first. But that's why I said it's harder because the parents don't know it themselves. But if they want their children to know, they need to be taught too also, so they can speak it in the home. So I think that's kind of tough right now, but it's, you know, that's what's got to happen.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Thank you.
Representative Borba.
I'll make this short and sweet. I just wanted to say thank you for the books. Thank you for the dedication for our language. I do watch your videos on Facebook, and I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. I commend you. Mado.
Mado.
Okay, is that all questions for the language department? Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
Mado.
Okay, any other director that's, oh yeah, Representative Shaw? Representative Shaw?
Sindog,
Oh, Sindog?
he'd have walked out the door, is what I was saying, while they was waving at you, trying to get you to stop him. But maybe y'all can answer. Somebody here been around Sindog more than I have. We still have a hoop house or a greenhouse, whatever you want to call it, sitting up here going into Seminole. That land is not in trust or anything, but we had tornado hit that and tear it down, what, a year ago? And we asked on this council floor, are we being reimbursed by insurance for it? And we've never received an answer today. If we got insurance on that building, I think we, being me nosy, would like to know how much money we were reimbursed and how come it's still sitting there not fixed. Because there's some big old air conditioners and fans hanging out there that I heard some guys talking about, we ought to go out there and just pick it up and leave at night. Nobody knows. Lighthorse don't go over there anymore because it's tore down.
We're going to bring some food initiative, food security, and food sovereignty components up at the budget meeting in July. What I know about that, Representative Shaw, is that yes, they did receive some insurance money for that, the damages. The infrastructure's fairly intact as far as the mechanisms of the aquaponics. I believe it was an amount of $156,000. So what they had indicated to us on the tribal side is that if the tribe was interested in taking it back, which the grant was originally written that way.
Right.
The last administration had no business taking that over, or we would have got a commercial greenhouse like the chief, band chief chairman, Representative Narcomi. We all went to Eastern and went on a tour, and we were supposed to get a state-of-the-art polycarbonate greenhouse out of that thing, but we didn't. We got a glorified hoop house wrapped in bubble wrap. And yeah, I didn't like that. But we are going to bring a proposal up at the budget meeting to begin that food security and food sovereignty initiative, and I think this is going to be a part of it. There is also an additional $126,000 that we found, actually. I always wondered what happened to it. Was it sent back to the federal government? But it's actually sitting there in Bank First. It was the original Rural Business Development Grant on the bistro there at the Grisso. And some of that grant was formerly already spent on certain things, you know, A&E. But the thing of it is, it's there. We have to get a confirmation from USDA if we can take those funds and use it for food initiative and food security, food sovereignty platform. If they give us the go-ahead, then that's going to give us right around close to $400,000 to maybe not do the very exact thing, but do something that's maybe even better than what they had.
Are we gonna try to take it back and bring it out here? Because that's the other thing that, Mr. Petit here hit on, is that infrastructure. We don't have a water infrastructure to do the things that we need to do with even that size of a hoop house. And we got two of them sitting right over here that are all tore up, that could be fixed and being used. I know at one time I watched a family get out there and tear that hole, tilled it up, took everything out of there, cleaned it all up. There were weeds taller than you inside that hoop house.
Yeah, that was an original NRCS program from Wildlife and Parks
Are we gonna move that
Recreation.
out here so it can be better?
I don't know that. We'll bring a proposal in July, and I think the council will like the proposal.
Yeah, we'd like to see
I believe they
something on it.
will. I believe they will. It's
All right,
it's a
that's
no
what I
nonsense.
wanted to know.
Like
See,
they
that-
used to say, it's a no-brainer. So we'll bring it and see if the council agrees with us.
See, that's one of the pet peeves I have. I ask questions to ask, how much did we receive back? They could have wrote that down on a little piece of paper and run a copy for everybody in here to know that this is how much insurance we got.
Well, he vaguely commented on it. Remember, a couple months and months, he said, we're trying to talk to the chief, see if they want to take that thing back. And if they don't want it, we'll make it a part of our food initiative, food sovereignty.
Well, like I said, though, I'd like to have known how much that insurance was, so
That's what I understood. What I said is what I understood was the amount. Representative Connolly,
I like to call the light horseman.
Lyhorse. And let's continue to move on. We do have other directors waiting. We have some that have to wait because they have budgets also. And we continue into new business, so.
Yes, I had a quick question for you. Yesterday, I was working, and we had a tribal member had her car stolen out of her driveway, which has a travel tag on it. She called the city of Seminole, and the witnesses was the neighbors, the people across the street. Seen the record, described it, and the young man that told that person that that was his car, told the city of Seminole that. So they said they know who he was, but all they could do was talk to him. So I told her, I said, well, since you got a travel tag, why don't you call the light horsemen? Which she did. I don't know who answered the phone, but they told her to let Seminole handle it. And I want to know why is that, because they said all they could do was just talk to the guy. He still has her car.
Yeah, normally, we would definitely, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I don't know if it's a issue. Sometimes we don't step on their toes, City of Seminole, you know, but if we definitely have jurisdiction, and I will find out
And
which
plus-
officer this is and fully investigate it, and they'll let you know personally what we're going to do with the situation.
Okay.
That's the first I'm hearing about it.
All right. And then That's just one issue
Okay.
with this same cop, but I'm not gonna mention his name or nothing,
Is it one of mine or City of Seminole?
the city of Seminole.
Okay.
But anytime that anything comes up with tribal, he has an attitude about it. He stopped my son, which my son is tribal, he has, tribal tags on his vehicle. He stopped him, ran the VIN number, and threatened to tow his car because it wasn't registered. And he said, well, you need to call the light horseman out here because I know this car is registered. He said, that's not going to happen. Good thing, the reason that car didn't get towed was another officer came up and ran the VIN number, and he had left a number out of it. But I'm letting you know there's some things going on in Seminole that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll speak with Chief John Wheelers on the matter, and maybe on the side here, I'll speak to you and get that officer's name.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Petit?
Mine's a simple question. You answered us the other night at the Band Chiefs meeting, and I heard somebody comment earlier today about contact number for the new, I guess y'all have a new number or something. Could you give that to us?
Yeah.
So the new number for the Seminole Nation Light Horse Police Department is 405-652-7358. It's 405-652-7358. And with this new, with the Ring Central system, our phone at the office can accept text messages. So if anybody has a tip or anything like that, they can also, and they don't want to, if they want to remain anonymous, whatever, they can text something in to us through that number, and we'll get it.
Thank you.
I'll email all representatives the new number.
Representative Etheridge?
We've got some legislation coming before the council today. Did that go through the regular process of Finance Committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions for Light Horse? Okay. Thank you, Chris. Officer Talamasi? Okay. Representative McCoy.
Is Veterans here today? Veterans?
Veterans was here.
director?
The director is here, yes.
Oh, there you go.
He's been hanging. And
Thanks
as
for hanging.
all of these directors, thank you very much for being here, directors.
Hello, my name is Galen Greenwald. I'm Director of Veterans Affairs for Seminole Nation. I'm proud to represent all veterans, have them come in, get the services they need, and we've been doing some good things lately, having a dedicated veteran service representative every Wednesday. And this past Wednesday, 13 people came in, signed in, and got help. So that's the major issue that we're working with right now. Any questions?
Right here. Galen.
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
No, thanks for coming up. I just have a request. I know at the FAM, they have an area where they have like a screen and it rolls like Native veterans. I was wondering if you, in your time, could figure out how you can reach out to them and where we can get some more Seminole veterans recognized there at the FAM in the, I can talk to you a little bit later about that, but I'd like to see more Seminole veterans recognized so people that come to the FAM, they see our people as well.
I would love to get your input. I welcome that. Thank you.
And that was actually my only question or suggestion. Thank you, Mado.
Any other questions for veterans?
More of
Representative Shaw, then Representative Pittman.
Rather than a question, I've got a statement to make. I was talking about a museum grant. We also need one for the veterans to go for a museum grant because there's a lot of
Is it in there or not?
things out here that we can procure and put in our museum. I don't know why we haven't even got, we would promise a tank out of Fort Sill and that's never materialized. But because I left the job before that. But the thing is, we need one, a museum, and then the other thing is, are we going to open that to the public for the, like, instead of just veterans? I know it's a veteran center, but we also have, we run out of space for meetings and stuff like this. Are we gonna be able to open that at a later date to have band meetings or even a funeral or whatever?
It's not very large for a funeral, but I think probably, you know, it was built obviously for the veterans. I don't know, I believe that, you know, it has been used occasionally on a case-by-case basis for other types of activities. So as long as it don't conflict with scheduling, I don't see any problem with it, scheduling with, you know, veterans activities or the veterans committee's activities. So they just give a call to maybe make a calendar up so property wouldn't, you know, maybe open it up when you're having something or when the committee's having something. So I don't see any problem with it. It's a tribal facility. It probably shouldn't become a new community center, but for special events, perhaps, yeah. Any other questions for the veterans? Oh, that was Representative Pittman, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are now excavating cemeteries, and we are discovering more Native Americans in not only Wewoka, but in Sasakwa as well. How do we get that list to you, or is there a requirement of how we list veterans that are buried here so they can be recognized too, if they're Seminole on the Veterans Wall?
Yes, we have not made a list. We're still gathering names, but we'd have to have a special list assigned for those who are not at the Veteran Cemetery tribal. And that would be a separate list. And we can do that, but that would take some time to develop that.
Now, there is a question that was addressed by Carlisle Military Cemetery, and there's some, and many of you know this, that there was Seminoles that attended Carlisle, and they were children, but they're in a military cemetery because it was a military installation there. So there has been a request, and we must ask the Veterans Administration or tell the Veterans Administration, because I think they're allowing it for those children to come back to those designated Native tribes, and if they have a veteran cemetery, to be buried there. Now, I don't know how everybody feels about that, but we have two of some of the last graves there, and here we have children over there, you know, in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and most tribes have already taken care of theirs, so we will have to take care of ours as well.
Let me make a small,
And they'll pay for it. The Army will pay for it.
the thing is, on that right there, there are two children that are in question that are up there. One of them, the family wants the body here. The other one, the family hasn't made any moves whatsoever toward doing that, so until they decide what they want to do, we've only got one that we can bury out here at our cemetery. That's just a point of information I wanted y'all to have.
Yeah, I would, we really need to talk to that family because they are moving on, you know, out there in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And I know it's not to us to assume a grave and move it, but it has happened recently in our history. It's not something that we're definitely accustomed to, but it is something that does need to be taken care of. So if the Veterans Administration, we had a long meeting with a bunch of them just the other day, and this was before this subject matter came up. But anyway, we'll go ahead and move on with it as we can, I think.
Miko, can we get the director's phone number so that we can be in contact with you on how that process is going to work? Whenever you put it in place, we want to be able to send you
Absolutely.
these graves.
You talk about the Carlisle issue?
No, sir. I was still talking about the cemeteries. I
Okay,
just
all right, all
let
right.
them finish.
Let me
But-
give you my personal cell number.
Okay.
Area code 951-533-1407. I'll repeat that, 951-533-1407.
Can you
And it
tell
should
us
be
your
on the
name again?
website.
Tell me your name again.
Galen Greenwald, Galen Greenwald.
Representative Harjo?
Yes, I was just wanting to ask a question. My brother was in the Korean War, and they don't recognize him. He was in there for over 2 years, and he served, and they discharged him. But his records got burnt in a fire, and the state can't find him. We've asked y'all before, and nothing happened. And so he don't get no kind of benefits, my brother. He's handicapped, he's got one leg removed.
Fix that.
Well, I can get
I
you,
was just wondering how would we go about trying to find his records that he was in the Army?
there was many records that were burned in Missouri and have no records of them now. All we can do is if somebody has a record on file somewhere, a family member, or somebody who knows, or we can go more to the VA level at the federal level and have them pursue it a little bit
I
more.
think that's probably where it needs to go, because we've tried and tried and tried different places. He's been out of the war since probably 78, 9, something like that.
Well, I'm
And
sorry
he's-
for that.
And they don't even recognize him as a veteran.
Well, we'll have to pursue it some more then. We'll
Yes,
have to go up higher in the chain, whatever we need to do.
Yeah, I just want to think,
Okay.
he needs to go higher somewhere.
let's
because
do that.
He did serve.
Okay, Veterans Director, Representative Sampson.
I don't know if I'm asking the same question that, Representative Pittman has come forward to you with. Are you saying that any veteran that's buried on a reservation property, like allotments, we can give you the names of those veterans that have passed away?
I am not sure about that. Part of this in the Carlisle issue has to go through the Department of Defense and Department of the Army, and they have to make all the final decisions. We can't make that decision at the local level. That's from the higher level.
Well, okay.
So even any other names as well would have to go to the higher level also.
Okay, so you're saying that, Anastasia, what did you ask him earlier?
My question is, can we give you the names so that you can take it through the Department of Defense, or however we need to vet them? What we're discovering is more veteran graves that are located down here, and they're not being recognized. We want to recognize them through the Seminole Nation, but if there's a process, we want to know what that process is so we can give you the list of names of those who have been
Yes, and I
buried
would
on
take those
reservation.
names and I would pass them on to the proper authorities that I can deal with who have the answers, where I don't have those answers.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Okay, if that's all the questions for the Veterans Director, then is there anyone else that the council would like to speak with?
Chair,
Representative Fixico.
it's going on 4 o'clock. We still got a lot to do.
Yes, I realize that. Thank you, Representative Fixico. Representative Dethridge. Housing. She's been here since 10 o'clock.
Good afternoon.
How you doing, ma'am? Ms. Stone, I was asked about this, and it's came up several different times through the housing program, and I know that you're on the agenda for $2-point-some-odd million after a while. Hope we can give that to you. But the question that was asked of me to ask you is, are we, I mean, it seems as if we are moving away from the way housing was intended back in the, I guess, late 60s when my folks got an Indian home on their property built. Do we not do that anymore? Are we just a rental agency? Or expound on that just a little bit if you don't mind.
Okay, no, I don't mind at all. Those original homes that were built in the 60s and 70s, mutual help homes, were 37 Act. It was a different funding format. And in 1996, the funding for housing changed to NAHASDA, which is how we are funded now. What is on your agenda for your information, our Indian Housing Plan is what we do every year. And on there, we can do any affordable housing activity. And so in the one that I've submitted for your review this year, there are rentals that we're looking to build. But we still build homes. We built 2 homes this year. One was built in Wewoka on property that we had acquired, and then one was built on family property in Strother. And so we still build homes for individuals, and we'll use their land if they have it. Now, a misconception is if you have property that will move you up the list, but it doesn't. I mean, you're still on the waiting list. Now, if you are someone who is full blood or a veteran, that gets you up on the list. But there's a priority system, and so that's what determines that. But yes, we still build homes.
Okay. Rolling Meadows, is that what it's called, Rolling Meadows, west
Yes.
of Farnham?
Uh-huh.
Are those homes, are those just rental properties, or are those people living there? Is it a
Those are home ownership
rent to
homes.
home, I mean, rent to own or whatever?
There are 25 homes out there that are tax credit homes. Those are not HUD homes. Those are homes that were built with tax credits from the state of Oklahoma. So they don't actually belong to us. They're quasi-rental for 15 years. We have a 15-year compliance period. Then we have the option to transfer those to home ownership. And so that's what we'll be working on, putting a policy together for now, because that happens in about the next 4 years. So, but all the other homes out there, there are 24 other homes. Those are home ownership homes. And so those people living out there, as long as they're in compliance and they pay, they will own those homes in a 25-year lease period.
I just want to make a comment. I know that, we have those 2 housing areas of Econtuchka and then Rolling Meadows. And we have the old housing development, scattered around Seminole County that was part of those mutual help home built out in the early 1970s. Now, we were given land in Sasakwa. I'm talking about we, the Seminole Nation. I've said it a few times on this floor, but my junior high teacher came to me when I was the assistant chief a few years ago and donated some land. And it's in Sasakwa. We also have property in Conawa. We would be willing, if the council would be willing, and we always have to go through the council when it deals with land, but we would be willing And we think that if the council would also agree, some of the leftover ARPA funds, and that we'll have a total, once, if it passes that one bill on the $2,000 distribution, then what we can do is bring the total amount that we have, and some of that could be used on housing specifically, if that's what we chose to do. But it would take some measures, and we'll be willing to bring it up to this council if they want to build more houses in the South, which is one big concern that we haven't done in a long, long time, is to build houses in the South, which is Kanawha and Sasakwa. We can bring such legislation, and then I think we will, and see what council wants to do with it. And then the tribe can either keep the properties, and then that way they never lose the land because of taxes or whatever it may be. But we can work that out, and then you know, we can do a sub-recipient. I mean, they could help us as far as the administration of an allocation of that type as a sub-recipient of those funds. But we would have to do it, we would have to get construction started fairly quickly, and then we can have an extension to 2026 under the guidelines of the Congressional Act. So be thinking about that, and if you kind of support it as a consensus, we'll draft the legislation and bring it to you. Representative McCoy, and then Representative Shaw.
Hi, Becky. Just a real quick question. I just wanted to bring this to your attention and just get your input. We had a tribal member that lives in Indian housing, and they had some plumbing problems and water leak, and it took well over a week, close to 10 days, just to get a plumber out. I don't know what the turnaround time is, but I don't think that is acceptable, number one. So could you elaborate on is that a timely response and getting things fixed?
No, that's not a timely response. 10 days is not timely. And I don't know the exact time frame of all the things that happened. I believe a plumber went out on an occasion and the homeowner was not there. And then I think staff went out. For plumbing issues, we don't have a licensed plumber on staff. But we do have some plumbing equipment that for this particular situation, grease had clogged the drain. And so our jet system that we have is not, I guess, the strongest like a plumber would have. And so our guys couldn't do it. And so we had to find a plumber who could get out there.
Do you communicate with them, at least call the homeowner if they're not there and just say, hey, we tried to stop by, or leave a note on the door?
I think the plumber contacted my staff.
Okay.
And then I think there was a weekend involved.
Okay, yes, there was.
So I think that was what caused that prolonged situation. But staff was attentive and went back and forth and tried to assist, and I think that it was finally resolved.
Okay. And then this, since you're up here, this has to do with your resolution. I was reading through it, and I caught where it says that there's a purchase of 5 acres included in this particular resolution. Where might that 5 acres that you're looking to purchase be? Or is that something you just put on there? Or?
Yeah, it's just an estimate. We put that on there because I have development staff who looks for land all the time. This year, it's in our IHP, and they look for property that we can build on. And that's how we have corresponded with homeowners in Kanawha who have extra acreage that they might consider selling, or the school in Sasakwa who has land that they may donate but has a home on it to be demolished. And so that is just for us when we have the opportunity to purchase land. Okay. It's in our plan, so we can do it. If it's not in our plan, we can't do it.
Okay. Appreciate it, Mado.
Sure. Inga.
Representative Shaw.
I got two things. One of them is I want to reiterate what Mr. Johnson said about when are y'all going to start building south of the Mason-Dixon line?
We're looking for property, and what I have found out, Representative Shaw, is because we do have some homes in Kanawha in particular, and that water has been an issue for us and a concern. And what I found out recently is that people within the city limits of Kanawha now are having their own wells dug. They're not using, I guess, the public water system because it's not any good. And so we're talking about that. It's additional cost, but we're looking at that and looking for property that is affordable. With the marijuana growing that started a few years ago, it has driven the price of property up in Seminole County. And so we can only pay appraised value. And so when people started buying land for 10 times what it was worth, then that's what owners of land, property owners, want for it, and we can't pay that. So we're looking, and we do surveys. The south part of the county still is not at the top. It's not where people are requesting homes, but we haven't built there in a while, and so we are looking for places to build.
I know there's land there in Kanawha already, 2 lots, as a matter of fact, right on the corner. I know about that. And I know there's other land over there. That's one reason I'm asking, because I've got to where we've been told how many times we're gonna be building down there, and there's not one. Y'all ain't even put a toilet out there. So, you know, I wanna reiterate that, you know, they're down south, they don't ask because the Chickasaws are letting them live in Chickasaw housing down there at a reduced rate. But we got a lot of people in Kanawha alone and over in Sasakwa alone that work south of the river down there for the Chickasaw Nation and other entities. But that was one of the questions. How long is it going to be before we can start seeing some progress down? There's not even, I went looking for a rental home the other day. Mm-hmm. The whole city of Kanawha, I went up and down every street. There was no decent housing. There's a lot of houses that are falling apart. And, you know, if you go in there and fix this, you can do this, and we'll let you have it for $150 a month. When you get it fixed, it'll be $800 a month. But they want you to fix it so they can charge you more. See, we should be looking at things like that. Housing is premium in Kanawha right now. Sasakwa, there is none, just like Kanawha. There's none there. If there's no demand, then how come they're all full?
For us, for it to be a demand on our end, we need people to apply for it. And on our waiting list, we don't have a lot of people asking for homes in Kanawha. And so I encourage any of you who live in Kanawha or have family in Kanawha, apply for housing, because that will show that people want to live down there, and it'll push us to build down there. And I'd appreciate the names of property that you know that's for sale there.
Well, I'll be dropping by your office and let you know that.
Okay.
But the biggest controversial thing of all, and I come back like I'm trying to run day to day, is the one that's been popping up. I know it's popped up every time for the last 2 or 3 years. You have a non-Native American married to a non-Native American that y'all were using for security, that no longer works in any police department, that doesn't even meet the guidelines. I don't know about meeting the guidelines. I can only tell you that we built these homes for Native Americans, not for and I could see it when y'all first started. He's a part of the Light Horse, so he's going to be part of our security out there. Well, he lost that job. He came to Kanawha. Okay, you kept him on because he's still part of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. He's no longer part of any kind of law enforcement for quite some time. So I'm wondering, why are you still allowing him to live out there? Because that was one of the stipulations, as long as he was law enforcement, and that's what you told us yourself.
Yes.
All right, he's no longer part of law enforcement. So why don't you kick him out like you would me if I was living out there as a Native American?
I didn't know he wasn't on law enforcement, because that is the only stipulation. But the other thing also is that he's not a Seminole tribal member, but he is Indian. And so it's not non-native. It's not a non-native household. They are Indian, but I will follow up on it. Every time I get that question about, you have a non-Indian out there and he's not working for the police, well, then I had to follow up and find out, well, he wasn't working for Lighthorse, but he was working for Kanawha. And so that's why he was allowed to continue, because his presence does matter.
Like I said, that's why I never brought it up.
Right.
But
right.
now, it's been quite some time that he's not been in law enforcement.
Okay, I'll follow up on that.
All right, that's all I have for you.
Okay.
Representative Lena?
Yes, do we have a contract with this individual that they're talking about?
No, he has a lease.
If so,
He has a lease, yeah.
Well, can we see it as and for how
Well,
long?
I don't know that we share that. A lease is a lease. And I don't show anybody your lease, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's confidential information.
Okay.
But I will follow up to see about his employment situation.
The reason I ask, you know, he has neighbors that he reaches out to and speaks to at different occasions, and I actually talked to one Friday, and they informed me that he has another house in Shawnee or somewhere,
Oh.
but he plans on keeping our house. And I said, what? How can he do that? He's not
Okay,
even
he
our
can't do
tribe,
that.
you know.
Right.
And I just want to know. I need some answers so I can tell our people, because they're asking me out
Right.
there.
Okay.
You know. But okay.
Sure, I
But
will
okay.
follow up on this individual, because whenever you do live in our homes, that has to be your primary place of residence.
Okay, I seen Representative Hill and then Representative Harjo.
In reference to that individual we're talking about, okay, he's been Lighthorse, he went to Kanawha, was a police officer there, and he tried to run for mayor of the town, blah, 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 okay? But anyway, does he have to be affiliated with the Five Civilized Tribe in order to remain in that house, or could it be any tribe?
No, he doesn't even have to be Indian. If we choose to have a police presence out there, it could be anybody.
So it could be any police department or anything?
Right.
Because he's been there for, golly, over 10 years, okay? And if you want to know, which I'm sure you're not checking up, he's a Kickapoo police officer.
You just gave him the right to stay there, Representative Hill. Representative Harjo.
Yes, I was just wanting to know if you have emergency housing?
We do have emergency housing, and that's something.
Do you have anything open or available now?
Here, use mine. Oh, you got yours?
Been here too long.
I know. We normally have 2 emergency units, and they're filled as they're needed. Right now, we have 1 emergency unit vacant, and it's first come, first served. An emergency for us is, because we have a policy for it, and all of our policies are available, is an act of God. It is a fire. It is a tornado. Eviction is not an emergency for us. Homelessness is not necessarily one. And so, because we have a lot of that.
Okay, my brother, he was in a house fire in Antlers last month. He just got recently discharged from the burn center in Tulsa last week. And he's in need of housing. He's a full-blood Seminole. He's handicapped, you know, but his whole back was burnt, and he needs housing. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to call and ask, but they said that there's just 1 unit and it's a 1-bedroom, but it's gonna be, his son was also burnt really bad. And they both need to get set, we need to set them up with wound care and dialysis, and they need housing. And so they was in a fire and their trailer got burnt.
Right now, I know we just have the one bedroom available, but he would definitely be eligible, and I would recommend you have him contact Ed Bear.
Ed Bear?
Ed Bear.
Well, I did. I contacted, I talked to Mary Ann, and she was told me to talk to Ed or see if he had anything available. But they said the one bedroom wouldn't be efficient.
I would still have him fill it out, and
Yeah,
and
because he's already released from the hospital. He just needs a place to go.
because the other unit could be available anytime, and so have him contact them.
I sure will. I'll have him contact Monday.
Yes.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for housing? Okay, Representative Pittman, and we're about to our time limit on this one director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your report. You mentioned that some of the residents in Kanawha are having their own wells dug. Are we working with IHS to provide the wells, or how does that application process work?
Whenever it's housing property, we don't qualify for IHS. And so that's something that I've actually visited off and on with the chief about, is about having property in trust. Because if it were in trust, we could probably use our environmental to help with that cost. But right now, it would just be a cost on us, and we couldn't use them.
I think ARPA, because it's not IHS monies, could be utilized, you know, the ARPA funds that's with the environmental. So if you got a situation like that, you know, give them, and yeah.
Get them with summer?
Yeah, because, to get it to summer. Because it's not IHS funds. Okay, no other questions, and thank you, Becky. And let's see if we can move this on a little bit. Is there any other directors here that you want to hear from? If not, we'll go on to the regular agenda that's under new business. Okay, it looks like we're ready to move on. Let me have the, I know some of you were saying, you know, you don't know our directors, so you have seen a few of them, and I'm not, questions are over with right now, but go ahead and just introduce who you are and pass the mic down, okay? We do appreciate you being here. I know it's a whole afternoon, isn't it? Here you go.
Good afternoon. I'm Robin Horton, the Early Head Start Director.
Martha Wynn with the Older American Program Caregivers.
Marcy B. Harjo, Johnston O'Malley.
Rosa Smith, WPR. Nice to meet you all.
Dana Factor Harjo, Higher Ed and Adult Ed.
Tiffany Welch, Records Management.
Stephanie Haney Brown, Indian Child Welfare.
Greg Palmer, Alcohol and Substance Abuse Program.
Linda Stewart, Director of Tribal Court.
Rachel Dinwiddie, Transportation.
Emma Wesley Harjo, Director of Job Placement and Training. Madonna Williams, Director of Judgment Fund.
Mark Williams, Communications and Media Director.
Chris, they know who you are. They know us. You don't want to get back on that microphone, do you? All right.
Terry Stone, Program Director for the Seminole Nation Domestic Violence Program.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Upshaw. I oversee the Diabetes and CHR program.
He ain't no director. No, Oh, yeah, way over there hiding by the window. Y'all's trying to honor Jerry Springer and make me walk all over this place.
Velvet Hand, I'm the Social Services Director, which also houses Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services.
Yes, this is an officer of the tribe.
Bill Larney, Treasurer.
All right, let's give everybody a hand for hanging with us. Thank you, directors. We do appreciate you. Whoa, whoa. Oh, hey, recreation? They want you on the microphone. All right. That was Gary Lena. Recreation. All right. Okay, let's go on through and go through the agenda. Thank you, directors. You're free to leave. You can give the princess wave as you leave. And IT is represented here today by Fred Brown. Now, who's ready to repeal that resolution that had directors here every quarterly meeting? Have what? We can repeal that if you want. Okay, here we go. We're back on new business here. This is TR 2023-28, a tribal resolution of the General Council of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma appointing the Honorable Tim D. Wantland to the Seminole Nation Supreme Court. I entertain a motion to that effect. I have a motion by Ida Gonzalez, seconded by Stephanie Lambert. We did get a resignation from Joe Taylor. Joe Taylor, long-acting Supreme Court Justice for the Seminole Nation, and it was effective, Linda, this past week, wasn't it? Yeah, and we need to really write a. Does he come around very much at all anymore? Not really, but we still need to write an appreciation to Joe. He's been with us since the inception of the court, I believe.